are live. One day at a time, right?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Onward Podcast. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Onward Podcast. I'm so excited to have my guest tonight, Russ Hedge. I've been on his show a couple of times, and it could very well be that after this show, I say what Russ always says is, I think we're going to have a round two. I always tease him for that. But Russ and I coach along in the same area about creating a life that you love, living a life that you choose. And what's that look like? How do we do it? How did we figure out how to do it? So I'm excited to learn from Russ tonight, and I hope you are too. So welcome, Russ.
Hey, Emily, it's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You know how these things go. You never know if people are going to show up and comment or not. But I hope that when people start to watch, if they have a comment, that they join in the conversation and ask us some questions and just make it a fun night. So
yeah, it's always fun. Hey, when we can be on and talking about positive things and how to make life better and how to live the life you choose, life is always good. And you and I have such a similar mindset.
Yeah.
And you become such a great friend, and I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you too. Nancy Barrows told me to text her. So I'm just texting her, telling her I'm live.
You text and I'll talk. There you go.
I was just texting her saying we are live. So, and you even wrote a book about it. Your book is Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. Why did you, have you always been living a life that you chose, or did something happen in your life?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to go way back. I was really blessed with a great childhood. I had wonderful parents. I had a sister who was great, and I really lived a good life. I mean, my parents, we weren't like wealthy, but we were probably upper middle class. I mean, I didn't really have a lot of issues with what we could buy or couldn't buy for things. And I don't know, it was really kind of a nice life. And I had wonderful parents who instilled some great values in me and really supported me. So when I was young, really young, I would say, yes, I was living the life I chose because I was one of those crazy guys. I did everything. I played through all the sports. I was in music and drama.
Wow.
And all the stuff. I mean, I was in everything. And it was fun, though, because my parents encouraged me to try a lot. And, I had a real musical family. So my wife and I both come from real musical families. And so, yeah, I just had a blessed time doing all kinds of things. So, but as I went along, there's really kind of, I don't know, expectations on people that if you're a good kid and you're, living life like you're supposed to, that you go to college, you will get a degree, you'll come out, get a good job, get married, have a family, which are all good things, by the way, really
right.
Good. But it's just kind of already laid out for you. And so I just went to college and I didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. I did really enjoy the college I went to. I went to Oregon State. Mm-hmm. And so college was great. But the problem was I majored in social activities.
Well, that helps because now you host I don't know how many live shows. So you're social.
There you go. Well, yeah, I didn't really need help with the social part. That was the problem. That wasn't an area I really needed to learn about. So I majored in social things and basketball. I played basketball at the rec center all the time, and I was involved in every kind of social thing. But what happened was I really got derailed because I went from being a good kid to still a good kid, but the good kids I hung around with did a lot of stuff we shouldn't have done. And so basically I used to tell my kids when they grew up, if you want to know about things you shouldn't do, whether they're drinking, smoking, being involved in things you shouldn't be involved in, you probably should just ask me because I've probably done all of them. Mm-hmm. Because in college, suddenly it was kind of like my parents weren't there. Everything was okay. And everybody just, they just did things. So that really got me derailed. So then I started questioning what I really want to do. I didn't really have a pathway through college, and I floundered a lot my first year. And so anyway, after that first year, though, then the real where the rubber hits the road really started. This is in my book too, but after my freshman year in July, on July 9th of that year, I got in a massive car accident and I almost died. They actually shut the whole freeway down and flew me lifeline to a hospital. And I had a trauma team work on me, and they saved, by the grace of God, I lived through that, and I recovered really quickly. I told them when I finally came around, I lost my memory for 2.5 weeks. So I lost 2.5 weeks of my life. I had brain swelling, brain trauma. So after those 2.5 weeks, when I started coming around, I started going through therapy and all that. And I told them I wanted to go back to Oregon State. And they just laughed at me and they said, you are not going back to school. There's no way you can't do it. So that was a challenge to me. So it gave me something to overcome and it gave me something to push for. And so anyway, long story short, I took a whole battery of tests and proved that I could do it. And I actually went back to school in the fall. It was amazing. From July 9th till September,
Wow.
I went from having broken collarbones, ribs, collapsed lung, brain trauma, broken jaw. I had to learn to talk, walk, and do everything again in my life. So it was a miracle of God. It really was. But what it did is it really helped me learn to take on challenges head on. So that's when I really started the journey. I would like to say that journey magically, that I learned all my lessons and suddenly I was doing everything right. But unfortunately, it took me a couple more years of college to really, I still floundered a little bit, but I had this in the back of my head that I was blessed, that time was precious. And it was really a miracle that I was alive. And so that started to work on me. And I felt like God worked on my life. And by my senior year, I met my beautiful wife. It's actually my 5th year, my second senior year, because I messed around too much. And so anyway, I met my beautiful wife. I got my act together. I met the Lord and I moved forward and I actually graduated. Yeehaw! In communications. So if I didn't already need to know how to talk too much, now I really did, because my degrees in communication, actually I got a BS in speech communications. That's my degree. Yeah.
That's BS.
So, yeah, that's people awesome. Like that because they say I'm full of BS. So there you go. So anyway.
Hi, Leslie. Thanks for joining us. And Tim says hi too. Hi, Tim.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. That's awesome. Yeah,
we appreciate it.
Yeah.
So that was a really life-changing accident, and somebody could look at that and say that ruined my life, or and been down about it. It seems like you've found the gifts and the opportunities in that accident.
Yeah, I really did. I mean, from that point until when I really turned things around, my wife was such a huge impact in my life, and she lived the way that I wanted to live. So I actually hung out with her and her family. I went to church with them, and I really changed my life. And it gave me really purpose, direction, and I intentionally started living. Instead of living life by accident, I started living life on purpose and living life with a purpose. And it was just a real blessing. And so then at that point, then I really started to live the life I choose. But it's still, again, it's a journey, because as I lived my life, I had to go through different things till I actually got to now, which is what I'm doing currently. And working for myself is really the best thing that I've ever done, because I feel like I'm able to encourage and bless people with my book, Befuddled, Live the Life You Choose. And just with all the live streaming, the podcasting, my coaching, and all the things that I do, I just really think that I get to inspire and encourage people the way I always wanted to.
So when you were growing up, did you go to church? You said that you really found God maybe after that accident and then through your wife?
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, I really felt God tugging on my heart through those 2 years while I was still doing things I shouldn't be doing.
Mhm.
And it was really, the catalyst was really meeting my wife, and then looking at how she lived her life. And it was funny because it was kind of amazing. When I first met her, I called her and she wasn't available. And I think it was a Wednesday night. And then I found out later she had to go to church. I'm like, who goes to church on a Wednesday night?
And blows you off.
I
So
know.
they don't have time for you. They're going to go to
And
church.
I know. And then I found she went to church on Sunday nights too. And I'm like, what? Who goes to church on? I thought you just went Sunday mornings. Anyway, long story short, I learned that just the lifestyle that she was leading, and living for God, it was just, what I had been yearning for. So anyway, but the great thing was too, that my whole life, I've, been a musical family, and I went to school starting as a music major. And so I got to do a bunch of music in the church, which was awesome. I got to direct choirs, and I ended up ultimately getting my music ministry license. So I was a music pastor. I still am a music pastor, and so I can do. And so anyway, it was just a blessing for me. So it really kind of gave me that direction and focus on my life.
How did you meet Tim? Because Tim is saying Russ is a great friend. It's awesome to see both of you here. So did you guys meet through LinkedIn, or have you?
Actually, Tim and I met the day that I appeared on the Tim and Jim show. And I knew Jim Fuse already through some different networking groups, and through D. Scott Smith, who's my co-host of The Experience Live with Russ and Scott. I show up on the Tim and Jim show, and there's Tim, the first time I met him. So he just is an amazing guy. He's overcome so much in his life through overcoming cancer, and currently working on his challenges with headaches and all the things he had. And he and I have a lot in common, because I suffered with massive migraines and have ended up in the hospital and those things as well. I think his is much worse than mine, but I can relate to what he's going through, because I've had to deal with that.
Wow. He says he wants you to play music. Like, what instruments do you play? Any instrument? I'm trying to play the guitar. I don't know that I have the patience for it.
Well, let me tell you. So I grew up playing the trumpet. Okay. And I don't know if anybody can remember the Tonight Show and Doc Severinsen, that was the band leader with Johnny Carson years ago. So my trumpet teacher was partners with Doc Severinsen when they both started out. And he was an amazing guy. So I love trumpet. I play keyboard a little bit. I dabble with writing songs, and, my wife and I wrote songs for each other when we got married. I sang to her coming down the aisle, and then we sang to each other during the service. But our children have taken it to a whole new level. So my wife has got a beautiful, gorgeous voice. She's traveled with ministry groups and recorded and all that. And my kids, my daughter graduated music ministry. She has done great things, leading worship at church and a whole big music program and everything. And my son is actually a professional musician. He does all the music for my shows. So he writes and produces all that music, but he works for a big mastering company down in LA. And so he works on big projects, Grammy Award-winning artists, then also travels with three bands. Yeah. And so he still travels, plays music, and sings. And he's doing some great things. One of the bands he's with is signed with Integrity Records, which is a pretty big Christian label, and they travel around the country. And so, it's been blessing. But Tim, I'm not going to play for you today. My trumpet's put away up in the.
Tim says he played the trumpet. So Tim, have him on your show, the Tim and Jim show, and you guys both play the trumpet on your show.
There you go.
Show. Yeah.
I loved playing trumpet. It was a ton of fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Does he know your wife too? He says you Hedges are amazing. He knows your wife.
So my wife plays keyboard, and she sings. I mean, gorgeous voice. Her and my daughter have gorgeous voices, and they were really the best singers in the family. But my son just really took his music, and he's got a wonderful voice, and he writes music like crazy. So yeah, a lot of musical. My mom, it came from my mom and my grandma and her mom.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what does living the life that you choose look like for you?
Well, it's life is a journey, and I learn this every day, and I have to learn every day to balance my life so that I stay on track with what I want to do. And I have a very strong why in life. So my why in life is to encourage and inspire others so that they can live a purpose-driven life of significance. That is my why, or my main purpose in life. And I want to remember that, number one, that I need to do that with my family. And sometimes I'm good at that, and sometimes I'm not. You and I were talking about family things, and you have your grandson there. And my daughter, it's my daughter's 31st birthday today. Happy birthday, Kyla.
Hi, Kyla.
Yes, it's her 31st birthday. And it was just yesterday I was holding her in one arm. I mean, it's just, time has gone so fast. But so yeah, I'm learning to balance time. So like when I get done here, I'm going to stop, go get the barbecue going and do all that. I try to make a cutoff. So that's really important with living the life I choose, because I want to be able to be a blessing to my family. And, I have to, obviously the job and making money is part of that. I want to do good and all that. But you have to be careful about how much time you're spending. So that's some area that I struggle with sometimes still, because I want to do it. But I always brings me back to, what's most important in my life and keep me on track. One thing that helps me with living the life I choose, Emily, and you and I have talked about this, is that my morning routine and my morning mindset is really super important to life. So every morning I get up, I have become we're all habitual, but I've become a person of very positive habits every morning. So I have basically things that I do every day of my life, because really my personality, my tendency is just wing it and just go. Whatever happens is great. But that doesn't work so well when you're trying to get your day started off right. So what I do is every day, first thing I do is set my mindset properly, and I get up and I talk to myself. Before I get out of bed, I tell myself that I'm blessed, I'm thankful, and I am just grateful for all that God's given me, my beautiful wife, my family. Number two, I say, I've got this. I give myself a little pep talk. I have the talents and abilities to do it. Number three, I say today's going to be awesome, because I want to set my mindset. I want to put on my awesome filter, and I want to filter everything in that day through a positive mindset. So that's how I start. And then I get out of bed and I do the same things. I have morning devotions and journaling and exercise, and I do all those things in quiet time. That I do all of that before I get going with anything else.
When did you hold on? You left something out. Like, when do you check your phone?
Yeah. What I do is I really, really try to put that off. Because of the devices, sometimes I use my online Bible on my phone, because there's the U-Bible app I really like. And so I utilize some stuff on that. So I do use my phone for that, but I try to stay away from anything else on my phone until I've done all my things that have really set my mindset and really kind of got myself going the right way. So that helps set the foundation for what my purpose and why is in life. That helps me live the life that I choose.
And Tim says here that sometimes he invites you on the shout out Saturday and you say no because of family sometimes. And so he admires that.
Yeah, I do. I really, it takes a bite out of the morning on Saturday when I do that. And so sometimes I have time to do it. I mean, they're fun. I love those guys and I love the show. So it's nice to get on and be able to chat with them and promote things and do all that kind of stuff, be uplifting, encouraging. But yes, there's a lot of times I'm doing things like this Saturday. I won't be doing that. My wife and I are doing something together all day Saturday. And so those things are important to me, important to set my priorities straight.
Yeah, great morning practices, which is true, Leslie. And what do you do, though? Come on, Russ. Some days you don't feel like doing that. So just let it go, right?
Well, you know what? There's lots of days we wake up and you're not feeling it and you don't feel like doing it. Absolutely. But what I did years ago is I set my mindset to that I am going to do this every single day of my life from this part forward. And the reason is because I'm the kind of guy that my personality is, if I skip one day, then that leads to 2 days leads to a week, and a week leads to a month of not doing things. And so if I let the fact that I don't feel like it overcome me, then then that's what's going to happen. So I'm blessed to be a super healthy guy. I have actually probably 10 years now every single day of my life for at least 10 years. I have done all of that. I've done it on Christmas. I've done it on New Year's. I've done it on Easter. I've done it on my birthday, whatever, you know, and because I get up really early too. I'm super, super early. So I do it before everybody else wakes up. So it doesn't really matter what day of the week is, but it's really helps sustain me and keep a really good mindset.
Yeah. And so, what else does creating a life that you choose mean? So, you start out with your morning routine, you make time for family and friends, you keep in your mind your vision, what your purpose is, you know what your purpose is, and your purpose applies to not only other people, but to you and your family too. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, and I want to give out to other people what I would like to get. You know, I love the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do to you. So I want to, I love to be encouraged. I love to be uplifted. So I'm going to do that to others. And I always tell people the best thing is if you want to be encouraged, encourage other people. So I make it a daily practice of encouraging other people. I send out texts or emails. I send video messages. I send stuff out and I encourage other people. And I say, hi, hope you're having an awesome day. And I just like to stay in touch. And I'm one of those connectors that when I connect with people, you know this, Emily, when I connect, I want to stay in touch. We're friends. I don't want to
Mhm.
just be, hey, it's been nice to know you. See you in 20 years. I
Right.
do my best to stay connected to people because that adds value to them and it adds value to me. So that's what I really try to do. I try to do things to other people that I would, you know, again, that help encourage me as well. So that again helps me live the life I choose. So I do that every day throughout the day. And then another thing I do is I stay away from things that are really negative, right? So what are those things? Well, to me, it's the news. Number
Mhm.
one, I don't watch the news. My wife informs me of what's going on in the news, and I when I need news, I just Google it or I find out, you know, what's going on. But I do not watch news broadcasts. The other thing I don't do anymore is I really stay away from scrolling through any social media. So what I do is I'm very intentional, and I people will joke that I'm on social media all the time because I post a lot, but no, I don't. I don't scroll hardly ever. I mean, I have to be really bored and have
Mhm.
nothing to do to really scroll through. So I'll look at your site. I'll look at other people's sites. I go to things, but I just don't scroll and and that helps me. It helps me stay positive. It keeps the negative things that I'm feeding to my brain. That's going to affect what comes out of me. So you know, garbage in, garbage out. I don't want to put a bunch of negative things in because that's what's going to come out of me. And that's another way that I live the life I choose because I want to be positive. I want to be uplifting. And my wife jokes with me that I'm a Pollyanna. So if you ever saw that Disney movie, I'm just happy, bubbles and sunshine all the time. And
But you said you start with that awesome filter, and that's a decision that you're making because that means then that your subconscious brain is going to go and find things that are awesome. You what comes in your life is what you focus on.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And you know, it is. I am a huge proponent of that. In fact, this is not to promote this. I think you've seen this before, but I love things like this book. This is by Craig Groeschel. It's called "Winning the War in Your Mind:
Mhm.
Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life." Great book. If you haven't read it, you should. And I don't even get paid for that, by the way. But the reason I like that is because it's exactly what you just said. What you're feeding your mind, if you change your thinking, you change your life. You have this thing. I love this word. my, my wife and daughter crack up at me. It's called the reticular activator. Once I learned this, I use it all the time. But anyway, the reticular activator basically focuses in on things and shows you things that you are thinking about, what you're focused on in your mind. So, a good example is you buy a brand new red Toyota Corolla. I don't know who's got one of those, but anyway, let's just say you buy a Toyota Corolla, and so you are going to suddenly see everybody has red Toyota Corollas. They're everywhere because your mind is focused on that because you have one. So when you do that, the same thing happens. That reticular activator, it comes alive, and you find exactly what you said. You find positive, awesome, upbeat things, and so that's what I look for.
Yeah, I mean I think everyone can relate to that. I remember I was getting a Toyota minivan, and they were the new Sienna. It was the new modern sleek one. I was going to be the first one to have one, and then they were all of a sudden they were all over the road. Or if you just had a baby, you see more people that have babies, or you're pregnant, you see more people that are pregnant. I mean, it's just kind of the way that works. So why wouldn't that work with some of the thoughts that you're choosing too?
Yeah.
So
No,
how do
exactly.
you help your clients? Like if somebody's sitting here thinking, I kind of know my purpose, but how do I know if I'm living the life I choose? I think I am, but like who are the kinds of clients? What are the kind of clients you coach?
Well, it's interesting because I have different types of clients, some that are doing really good in those areas and some that aren't. But I really am big on stripping everything back to kind of the basics, their foundation, what they're based on. And so their why in life and their purpose, when you actually try to get somebody to define what they're all about, they really don't a lot of times know. In fact, most of the time they don't. If I ask a plumber, what is your why? What is your purpose in life? He goes, to be the best plumber I can be. No, that is not your why or your purpose in life. I
Right.
said, that is one of your
Job.
goals and what you're trying to achieve, which is good. Nothing wrong with that. But that is not why you do things. Why do you get up out of bed? Do you like, woohoo, I get to be a plumber? Not too many people are that way. I happen to be blessed with, I love what I do. And so I do get up excited to go to work. And I have for years because I've been in sales and marketing for years. And I love doing that. I love people. I like one thing I help people with, I can help them with their sales and marketing. If they're having difficulties putting together a marketing plan, putting together exactly how they go about their sales and marketing in their company, I can help them with that. One area that I love to work with people on is when they have Salesforce and they're cold calling. First of all, whoever came up with that name was a really Debbie Downer,
Cold calling.
was a cold calling, right?
Uh-huh.
Right off the bat, nobody wants to do it, and
I
they
don't
don't
want to
even
do
know
it.
what it is, right? I call it making friends.
That's the
So,
whole just the attitude shift. That would be a whole different way of running the phone call.
yep. Oh, exactly. And so, whether you're on the phone or whether you're in person, I always told my sales teams and sales and marketing teams, just go in there with the intention of making friends. Don't go in there try to sell them anything because nobody wants to buy from you. It's like being on LinkedIn and I say, hey, Emily, let's connect. You said, great. And the first thing you send me is next stage thing to sell me on buying widgets from you. I immediately go, boop, I'm done with that person
Yep.
because that's not what I'm trying to do. How do they know what I want? How do you know that I even need what you have without talking to me, learning about me? So making friends is a great thing. So working on things like that. But I am really big on just helping people define their purpose and their why in life and really living life intentionally. And then through that, we can move on to more practical things. But there's a lot of practical things that just get the foundation of your life together. And that's a big deal.
I think it's a lot of awareness too. Like we have all these patterns that we've developed throughout our life. When this happens, I do this, I do that, I do that. And if there's something that you want to change, you've got to, number one, be aware that you want to change it. And then number two, be aware of when you're in the middle of doing what you don't want to do. And I think that that's hard sometimes, like eating when you're watching TV, or I always react this way when this happens in my life, but I don't want to. How do I change that?
Right. Well, it's interesting because so I like to do positive self-analysis. So like when I'm out calling on people and doing sales and marketing for something, I like to say, okay, so how did you do when you went in and talked to them and kind of analyze it, not in a negative way, but say, okay, these things I didn't do too well there. This was really good. This I need to improve on this. But I analyze myself sometimes because afternoons into early evening, I'm not so good. Mornings, I'm fab
Uh-oh.
doing, and I tend to flounder and I tend to waste some time and do things in the afternoons that I really need to work on. But I think it's a good thing to then stop, pause, take a deep breath, go out, take a walk around your neighborhood and think about, okay, time to get back on track, just like I do in the morning. Let's be really intentional about what I'm doing. And that is, being intentional and living the life you choose takes work. It's not like we all have it mastered. What I'm coaching people on and helping them with, I'm working on myself, and I have my coaches coaching me on the same thing.
Yeah. Me too. I went on my Facebook group the other day and I looked all disheveled and everything. And I said, look, my son's coming in a few minutes. I'm trying to finish all this stuff because I know he's going to leave my grandson with me for a week or two. And he's coming a week early and I didn't get to do some things, but take a deep breath. And I'm living the life I choose, which is I choose to be able to make that time to spend with my grandson. And the other stuff doesn't really matter as much. My son's not coming with the white glove to inspect how clean my place is or whatever, but it's certain patterns that, I have from when I grew up. Like when someone's coming over, you've got to make sure the place is clean. Well, why? You got to ask yourself why you have to do certain things, because you don't really have to.
Well, it is interesting because I think anybody who thinks they've got it all mastered and got it all together, is silly. They're lying to themselves, because no matter how good you are, and some of us are better at these things than others, but we all have to constantly work on things. And one thing that I work on too is letting things go later in the day, because as my day winds down, I'm not a really stressed or anxious person. But if I have any anxiety, it comes towards the end of the day when I'm trying to cram as much as I can in before the day's over. And then I tend to worry. No, I guess it is worry. I'm not a worrier either, but I do worry a little bit. And I think about things into the evening. Yeah. So one thing that I'm really working on is taking my own advice that I'm really good at in the morning and take it into the afternoon, into the evening, and learn how to shut that off. In fact, I just really felt like it was like God's still small voice speaking to me and saying, Russ, you know what? You just need to shut this stuff off, and you need to go, just spend your total presence and time with your family. Don't think about it, and then come back to it tomorrow, because you're not going to really do anything with it tonight. I'm not good in the evening anyway. I'm not good late into the evening. I mean, I'm falling asleep by 8 o'clock. So yeah. So, I mean, when I start winding down, I'm not really as sharp and as focused anyway. So when I do like keynote speaking and things like that, heaven forbid that I have to talk in the evening sometime, because I'm much better in the morning.
You can put on your LinkedIn, you're a morning keynote speaker.
I can do it, but I need a lot of coffee. I've done emceeing of events, and they're always evening events, and I drink a lot of coffee to get myself ready for those things, because I want to have a lot of energy, But the good thing is people energize me too, so that gets me going.
Yeah. So are you more of an introvert or an extrovert?
Oh my goodness, total extrovert. I mean, I am just like, woo, let's go, all the time. I'm a little too extroverted for my family sometimes. Other people, there's times it's like, so I grew up with my mom and dad saying, Russell. So that's what they called, my mom called me Russell. Take a deep breath, settle down. It's okay. Because I was just always going 100 miles an hour. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think my grandson's an extrovert. He just goes up, he makes friends. Hi. He makes friends with everybody. And my daughter didn't do that. I don't think my son did either. They were just kind of more shy, and they're both introverted. Right. He's clearly an extrovert. It's so fun to see, and to be able to watch them as they grow up and see how some of those traits play out. Yeah.
I need to speak to your grandson, because I'll tell him the best thing is, as he grows up and then he has kids, the easiest way to embarrass them is to talk to everybody. So, my kids were horrified. We'd be going for a walk, and I was saying hi to everybody. I was asking how they were doing. We're talking to them. I'd go to a function with my wife, and by the time we left, I was best friends with half of her coworkers, and I'd already set up dates to go play basketball under the bridge when we worked downtown Portland. I mean, that's just the way I am. And so, yeah, I just love people. I love life. That's why I love connecting with people, because I get to make new friends. And part of living the life I choose through this whole last year and a half, I've been able to expand and meet people and become good friends with people all over the world.
Yeah, through
And
LinkedIn,
it's been
right?
amazing. Yeah, well, it's been a lot of sources actually, not just LinkedIn, through different
Okay.
networking groups from different people that I know. They introduced me to other people, and yeah, it's amazing. I was on with a group of my friends from Dublin, Ireland, the other day, and it was actually my 100th episode of Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie, one of my podcasts, and that Emily's been on,
Yeah.
and like twice or three
Twice,
times, I don't
right?
know. Anyway, so my wife and daughter came in to the screen behind me, and they're my friends over there. They're such great people, and they're like saying, "Oh, we can't wait till you all come to Dublin. We're going to be in the airport with signs going, woo!" You know. And so I've just been able to just meet some amazing people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So if this is where people go, russhedge.com, if people want to learn more about how you can help them as a coach.
Yes, definitely. I'm all about simplicity. That's something that's in my book also. And so russhedge.com is the one place to go to get everything about me. You can find out about my live shows, you can find out about my book. You can buy my book. You can find out about my coaching and speaking and everything that I do. It's got all the connections to my social media, my email, my phone number. So I'm happy to communicate in whatever way works best for people. But that's the one place to get it all.
Yeah, that's easy. So you have a daughter that's home right now, and you're going to be celebrating her 31st birthday. You got to go out and cook something on the grill, right?
Yes, I'm cooking. Let's see what I'm cooking. Burgers. My beautiful wife is in making the burgers. I just cook them, and then barbecuing corn on the cob and maybe some zucchini. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be good.
I'm going to go catch a flight, and I'll be over there. Hey,
You're
Marshall.
welcome. We should have enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I'll introduce people who are watching to where I've got to go.
Yes. Is he coming over to you?
Yeah, he's coming. Oh boy.
Oh.
This is Marshall, my grandson. I posted a picture of us on the Ferris wheel today. I posted it. I said, this is, I was just explaining that, because it was a picture of us kind of like, right, Marshall? We were like, right? That was fun.
He's such a cute guy.
You held my hand, right? At the top of the Ferris wheel. Yeah. All right.
Well, let me tell you.
Goodbye.
Hi, Marshall. One of the best things you can ever do in sales and marketing is show the real you. I used to tell my sales teams, take your kids, take your dog, take whatever. People love to see people and what they're all about.
Yeah.
And some people think, oh yeah, I can't do that. I can't. No, actually, that's the best thing ever because it humanizes you. And so then people are like, I really want to deal with this Emily person because she's a great grandma. She's got Marshall, her grandson, and they go on the Ferris wheel and they go on the roller coaster and they scream, woo. I mean, that just kind of humanizes you.
Yeah. Well, and you too, Russ. You're, everything that you do on all your lives, you interview so many awesome people. And I'm just so thankful that we met. And I'm looking forward to more opportunities like this.
Yeah, me too. We're definitely going to have to do a part 2. And I just want to tell everybody, don't forget that every Monday and Thursday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time is Marketing with Russ, aka hashtag Russ Selfie. It is on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook Live, but it also sits on all those platforms. And it goes out to all the audio podcast platforms. So if you're on iTunes or Anchor or Spotify or whatever you're on, you can pick that up as well. And I also put links on Twitter and Instagram as well to the audio podcast. And then the Experience Live with Russ and Scott, my co-host D. Scott Smith, good friend. He and I do that every Wednesday, 7 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And I have a Russ Reels show that wanders that Emily's been on a couple times. Usually it's on Fridays, but it wanders based on the guests. But the other shows are pretty set in stone.
So Russ is clearly an extrovert. Look at all the times you're out there, it's amazing.
Oh, wait, I have a new one coming. I have a new live show coming with LaCasa Gadboldo, and she's an actress, and she and I are doing a live show a couple times a month. It's not going to be as often. It's going to be called authentic rhythms. And we're going to have actors and musicians and people involved in creative arts. And I mean, we probably will throw in other people along the way, but it's kind of based around creative arts.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah. And people maybe they're producers or maybe they're other things, who knows, but it'll be fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the Onward podcast. And thank you to the people that commented here, Tim and Leslie and somebody else. It says LinkedIn user, so I'm not sure who it was, but thank you everybody who participated and who is listening later after the live. We appreciate you.
There you go. See ya.